mesmo. É muita pressão no meu psicológico. Eu não preciso disso, não. Não mesmo.
Brian's attempts at intimacy seem to have pushed Ingrid over the edge. But where did it all go wrong? Has Brian once again been too creepy? Or is Ingrid actually just not physically into him?
Once I went to go kiss her stomach, she basically hand in the face, like, nope, stop. But for her to shut everything down and end the way it did, it hurt me. It hurt me.
What is it with Brian always trying to make it all about himself? It hurt you. Well, what about how she was clearly feeling? Now, before we get to that, let's rewind to the start. So, the last we saw the pair, they were actually in a good place. They finally managed to have some fun together after Ingrid had learnt Brian was her dad's age and used to have a past as a criminal, as a drug dealer who was shot at. Now, there's an argument to be had that the fact it's only taken her one day to get over all of that perhaps says quite a lot about her. And as for today, she's now decided she's comfortable with Brian meeting her friends.
Então você é o famoso Brian.
O Brian, claro. Ok.
Andrea.
Prazer.
Igualmente.
Vânia, prazer.
And just like any boyfriend would be, Brian is nervous to meet his girlfriend's closest friends. He knows all too well that he needs to get their approval. If he can't fit in with such an important part of Ingrid's life, then what chance do they have to make their relationship work? So, after the initial meeting, after some small talk and getting to know Brian on a base level, the producers of the show try to spice things up a bit. They ask Ingrid's friends quite an interesting question.
O que vocês acham do fato da Ingrid ir atrás de cara mais velho, de cara que tá numa cadeira de roda?
Realmente eu fiquei muito surpresa. Eu conhecendo ela, fiquei realmente surpresa.
What do Ingrid's friends know about her? That's quite an interesting response, right? Are older men not usually her type? Or was there another hidden meaning in that? The truth is, from that response, we're none the wiser as to why she's with Brian. Except, of course, the elephant in the room. The passing comment that was made that she might just be in this to secure a better future for her kids.
De vontade de ir embora, isso eu sei. Por isso que tá procurando gringo, né? Tem as dificuldades, mas porque as pessoas são muito preconceituosas. Vai ser um desafio. É um desafio.
Isn't it interesting how her friends seem less surprised about her dating an old gringo and more surprised about the fact that he's in a wheelchair? It's almost as if it's a given, it's no secret that Ingrid wants to leave Brazil. The surprising part is more how or who she's choosing to do it with. But either way, as the night continues, Ingrid's friends want to know a bit more about the spicy details. How compatible are you two? How real is this? They seem to be asking.
Onde foi e como foi a primeira noite de amor de você?
Calma, amiga.
Não, calma nada.
Now, while Ingrid tells her friend to calm down with the questioning, Brian, on the other hand, encourages it. He encourages her, he puts pressure on Ingrid to answer. And even though it's quite light and everyone's laughing when Ingrid says they haven't had sex yet, this definitely feels like foreshadowing what's about to come. It's a clue that creepy Brian is definitely more pushy. He's more forward about sex than Ingrid is. And in fact, in his usual creepy way, Brian openly admits this to the group.
Namorei com brasileira. Não vou mentir porque ela tá aqui. Normalmente chega no Brasil, já tô na cama da primeira noite com pessoa, pá.
Okay, Brian, why the need to bring that up? Good for you, I guess. You're a 51-year-old man who's clearly a passport bro. I think this whole act of look at me, I'm the big man who beds a lot of women is definitely trying to cover a deeper insecurity that he has. Like, in a way, I think he's trying to normalise the idea of him in a wheelchair having sex. I have lots of it, with lots of Brazilians on the first night. It's almost a manipulation tactic, if you will. He's trying to heap pressure on Ingrid for somehow being the odd one out, the only one who hasn't had sex with him on the first night. It's as if he's trying to make out there's something different, something wrong almost with her. And it's interesting that Ingrid seems to rise to the bait. She suddenly feels the need to explain herself and even give a time limit of sorts.
Tudo tem tempo. Aí já tá quase perto de... Porque ele já passou as etapas que eu aprovou.
And with that, with Ingrid feeling the pressure and now suddenly with her friends approving Brian, it seems like the rest of the night, what's going to happen in the privacy of their hotel room, is now inevitable. Brian seems convinced that tonight will be the night. He seems pretty excited about the prospect.
It seems like she's definitely more like open to it. So I'm hoping that tonight would be finally the night that we get to the intimate level of our relationship.
Now, Brian's aware that Ingrid has never been intimate with a wheelchair user before. He knows this is a completely new experience for her. So, slowly but surely, he begins to lay it on thick back at their hotel room. How thick is he laying it on? Well, put it this way. When he tells her he's bought her a present, he's leaving nothing to the imagination. This is as clear a sign of I want to get laid tonight as it's possible to give. Yeah, it's more a present for himself than for her.
Essa é pra você. Essa.
Oh my God!
O que é? A sutiã.
Meu Deus!
Now, just to be clear, Ingrid isn't opposed to what's about to happen. She's on board with it. She thinks that the two of them are in a great place. Like, he's met my kid, he's met my friends, they've approved of him, he's been open and honest with me, she says. Like, to quote her in her own words, she says, I'm feeling like we could give it a try. So with that, despite her nerves about how the mechanics of all of this might work, Ingrid puts on her gift.
Pode deitar na barriga se quiser.
Eu? Você vai fazer massagem em mim?
Sim, claro.
Hã? Na barriga. Meu Deus,
Mas calma aí.
Gosh, this is so awkward, isn't it? You can really tell that Ingrid is feeling self-conscious. She doesn't know what to do, and the cameras being there can't make it any easier. Now, Brian tries to get her to relax by giving her a massage, and it's at this point that the camera crew take a leave of absence. Like, everyone seems to be on the same page, everyone seems to think at this point sex is inevitable, but they couldn't be more wrong. You see, 1 hour later, out comes an agitated-looking Brian.
After the cameras left, Ingrid made it clear that she was ready to have sex, but I didn't have a condom. So I decided to offer oral sex.
Now, Brian didn't have protection with him, so instead he offered to give her oral. Ingrid, however, didn't want that, as is entirely her right. She no longer wanted to be intimate. No condom, no sex, that's it. I don't want oral from you, is what she said to him. And frankly, her turning down his offer of other services is none of our business. It could be for any number of reasons, but if she says no, that's it, no. But the thing is, Brian is now offended by it. He's taken her refusal as some kind of personal insult.
Once I went to go kiss her stomach, she basically hand in the face, like, nope, stop. But for her to shut everything down and end the way it did, it hurt me. It hurt me.
Oh, fuck off, you old creep. Honestly, there is something really creepy about this guy. He's got this real sex pest energy to him. Sorry, Brian, but you're not the victim here. You can't act hurt. Look, the truth is, something about the situation, and again, we don't know specifics, but something made her uncomfortable. Despite what he might think, she doesn't owe him anything. If she doesn't want sex, oral or otherwise, tough luck, Brian. She doesn't owe it to you. It's not your mandatory right. And in fact, when we hear Ingrid's side of the story, when we hear her explain how Brian was acting, his creepy levels of entitlement just seem to get worse and worse.
Então, quando eu falei que não, peraí, vamos ter paciência, esperar mais tempo, vamos, né? Ele ficou chateado e vazou.
So apparently Ingrid saying, no, I don't want oral, but just be patient, just wait a little more, is enough for the guy to get angry and storm out of the hotel room. He's literally thrown a temper tantrum because she hasn't given him sex immediately. And I'm sorry, if that doesn't give you sex pest vibes, I don't know what will.
I was feeling good with meeting the kids and meeting the friends and checking all the boxes and doing everything, but not happening.
I mean, I'm feeling so confused.
Brian, you're an adult and I don't have enough crayons to explain to you that intimacy isn't math. This isn't some kind of mathematical formula, right? It's not meeting kids plus approval of friends equals sex. Like, that isn't how it works. You're not entitled to have sex with her because you've met her kids and friends. Now, Brian then goes on to say that he's worried that Ingrid maybe isn't attracted to him. And if that's the case, no one can blame her. Perhaps it's the fact he's in a wheelchair, perhaps it's his age, or perhaps it's something else. But if she isn't attracted to him, if she's got the ick, she doesn't owe you anything.
I thought it was a great compromise, a massage and oral sex. There has to be something else going on.
É muita pressão no psicológico. Eu não preciso disso, não.
It really seems like Ingrid is caught between a rock and a hard place. She's been in this online relationship with a disabled man, but being together in person is different. Maybe she's just physically not into him, right? It's not a crime, but maybe she's worried about how she might be perceived for that on national TV. Or maybe she just doesn't like oral sex, right? Maybe this has just been blown out of all proportion. Like, whatever the reason, if Brian keeps acting entitled to show up to her house, entitled to meet her kids, entitled that she should be okay with him having a criminal past, entitled now to her body, well, then I'm sorry, but there's no other way to put it. Their relationship, or what's left of it, is a ticking time bomb.